Hey everybody, my name is Steven and welcome back to the Storytime channel. Without wasting any time, let's get into our stories of the day. I am not a bouncer and I didn't steal your money. Hi y'all, I've had the misfortune to experience a lot of things in my 30-odd years that Redditors may enjoy. I'll start with the one that made me laugh when my friend reminded me about it last night and can add more if there is some interest. Been watching a few of these groups for a little while and occasionally they remind me of my own experiences. I should probably introduce myself. I'm a male from the UK, late 30s now, and I'm quite tall at 6'4", which seems to make me stand out enough that I am either a target or just the person who catches the eye of lunatics quite a lot. Cast for this tale: me, hi, Phil, my friend who reminded me about this story, DG126, a group of drunk girls who made a small mistake but couldn't get past it, Bouncer, big fella, not too bright though, Manager, nice bloke, sorts it all out. Here we go. The language is as best as I remember, but I'd been drinking, so exact words are going to be a stretch. A few years ago, I was hanging around drinking outside a bar in Manchester with my friend Phil. My friend smokes, but I don't. You mostly need to go outside to designated smoking areas to smoke the UK. As I'm stood there talking to my friend, admittedly quite near the door to the bar, a small group of very drunk girls gathers in front of me. I don't really notice for a few moments as I'm talking, but after a short while, I pick up that there is a little crowd stumbling about in front of me and they are looking a bit agitated. Lots of huffing and tutting. I looked over them briefly and noticed that they were all carbon copy blondes with the same haircut. Not a Karen cut, sadly. Mid-30s, similar black outfits, very short dresses, and all quite overweight. No judgment, just an observation. And all drunk like it was their first time out on the town. The only thing separating them was the level of fake tan they had gone for. It ranged from orange to a kind of mahogany color. I am oblivious as to why they are standing there or who they might think I am at this point, but I assume I am in the way a little bit, so I move to the side away from the door and they start to enter the bar with a few slurred variations of "finally" and "freaking useless." It seems obvious now that they thought I was the bouncer or the doorman who had let them in, but at the time I just thought I must have been in their way a bit. There didn't seem to be a bouncer as it was a quiet night, so an easy mistake to make. I should also mention it was cold and rainy in Manchester. It usually is, so I was wearing a big coat. It was dark in color, but wasn't the usual bouncer uniform of black coat with SIA identification on the sleeves. SIA is Security Industry Authority if memory serves. I actually did work door security for a couple of years at student bars and clubs in the past, so I know a little bit of this, but that was years ago. Most bouncers tend to be quite big guys as it's a physical job when poop goes down with fighting and such, and I'm in that category because of my height and build. A few minutes pass and four of the girls stumble out of the bar again and make a beeline right for me. I wasn't as close to the door anymore, but I was still outside with my friend. The leader of this gaggle was massively drunk and had obviously been elected as that night's spokesperson. She will be DG1. She did most of the speaking / slurring, and the rest mostly just said supportive things to back her up and swore. "You need to come on and save my friends." Me, oblivious. "Sorry, what?" "Come on, they're in trouble." Grabs my arm, which surprised me a bit. Me, still oblivious. "Who's in trouble?" I also pull my arm away, which seems to annoy her. "Come with me now, my friends are being attacked." Grabs my arm again. Phil says, "You better go, sounds important." He was laughing as he had figured out the problem already. I say, okay, confused as I still don't get it, but I was just drunk enough to think they might be trying to be funny or pick me up or something. "Finally, quick." Drunk girl 2 + 3 + 4. "Yeah, hurry." She leads me into the bar and up to a sort of dance floor area where the other two girls are dancing and kissing two guys. I'm still a bit confused why I'm here and now notice that drunk girls 1 through 4 are staring at me expectantly. Me, still confused, so what am I doing here? Drunk girl 1 shouting over the music, "Kick those guys out of here, they are attacking my friends." Seems like they are okay to me. Why did you drag me here? "We were on a girls' night and these guys aren't even with us." Drunk girls 1 through 4 say, "Yeah, we don't even know them." Okay, but why would I need to be involved? Drunk Girl 1 upping the drama a bit. They're being assaulted and you just want to freaking watch? No, I don't really care. I'm going back outside now. I turn to walk out. Drunk Girl 1 shrieks something sweary at me and tries to slap me in the face. She misses, spins, and hits the floor. I am walking away and out now, and when I turn, having taken the few steps to get back to the door, Drunk Girl 1 is stumbling to her feet and struggling a bit. I walk outside and hope that's all the weirdness I'll have tonight. I find Phil, who is laughing at me having watched the drama from the door. Phil says you're not free yet, I think you're in trouble now. Motions towards the door. The four girls have found a real bouncer who must have been inside and are pointing me out, looking furious. They come over and they are halfway through their version of the story to the real bouncer. That's the one. That's the bouncer who refused to effing help us and then knocked me over. He needs to be effing sacked. Bouncer says, this guy? Pointing to me. Me, things suddenly clicking in my brain. Wait, bouncer? Do you think I'm a bouncer? Yes, you, of course. You let us in. Bouncer says he doesn't work here. Yes, he does. Don't you even know each other? No, I don't work here. I'm stood here with a pint in my hands. Why do you think I work here? You're dressed as a bouncer and you let us in. By wearing a dark jacket? I didn't let you in, I just moved out of your way when you went in. You came inside with us to sort out those guys. Why would you do that if you don't work here? You didn't give me much time to think. Before I knew it, you'd grabbed me and pulled me inside. Bouncer said, hang on, I'm a bit lost. Look, he's the bouncer, black jacket, security information on his sleeve, and he's got the radio and all that. Look at me. I'm just stood here with a beer in my hand. Freak this. I don't care what you are, but you pushed me to the ground and took my money. Doubling down a little now as I presume she thought this would help her. I never touched you? I left after you pointed out some people kissing and you tried to slap me, missed, and fell over. What money are you talking about? Thought the mention of money was a bit random. We paid you to get in. They obviously didn't. It wasn't even a bar you paid to get in. Bouncer looks very lost but seems to be getting an idea that he better react soon. So you hit her and took money off her? No, none of this happened. I think this lot are a bit drunk. Drunk Girl 1 through 4 all chime in with various, yes, he did freaking hit her and stole her purse. Again, another fun little addition. Bouncer said, right, give the purse back. What purse? I don't have a purse, this is all bull. Bouncer speaks into the radio and another bouncer has now showed up. He says he's going to look at the cameras and see what's what. I'm lucky it was a relatively quiet night, as normally I think I'd have just been kicked out of the place just to stop the drama and save time, but as it was slow, they decided to investigate. The drunk girls have all started to get a bit hysterical now as they have real bouncers and the story has been embellished to include me taking money off them at the door to let them in, which they want back of course. The fact I apparently gave this poor girl a bit of a kicking, and I was supporting the guys who were trying to assault their friends. It takes a few minutes, but just as they are whipping themselves up into a frenzy, the bar manager comes out and asks me if I will go inside to speak to him. I just want to go home now, but as it will get me away from the screeching, I agree. I instantly regret it as I get shepherded into the back of the bar to the little room the security guys use. I assume I'm going to get a kicking, but the manager gets the second bouncer to show me the two clips on the security screen. The first one shows me vaguely moving out of the way when they go in the bar, definitely not taking any money, and the second shows me inside the bar talking briefly to Drunk Girl 1, her going to slap me and tripping herself up. We have a little laugh and they say I'm fine. I say I'm going to go, but they suggest if the woman calls the police, it might be better if I hang around so it can be sorted with this evidence. Apparently, it's quite common for people to lose things like purses and try to blame others in pubs. I ask what they're going to do with the group of girls and they say they are going to be asked to leave. We go back outside and the girls are still going on about what I apparently did. When the manager asks them to leave, they get really mad for a few seconds protesting. Manager says, I've looked at the CCTV and this guy didn't do anything. You actually tried to hit him. I never. He freaking slapped me and stole my freaking purse. I'm calling the police. Manager says, well, feel free, but as I've said, I've got the footage, so you will make yourself look a bit silly. No, I won't. I bet you do this all the time. Rob people and share the money. Bouncer says, you've been asked to leave, so please go. I'm not going until he gives me my purse back. I don't have it. Are you sure you didn't drop it when you fell over? I did smirk a bit here, which might have been an error. You smarmy little runt. She launches herself at me, but the bouncer, with reflexes like a cheetah, manages to catch her in mid-air and holds her there. This was no mean feat, as she was a pretty large girl. She starts kicking and screaming, but it doesn't seem to trouble him too much. He holds her there for a few seconds as she runs out of steam. Drunk girls 2 through 4 slowly seem to realize it isn't going to work and quiet down and seem to sink back a bit to get away. As drunk girl 1 catches her breath, the 2 girls, 5 plus 6, who had been inside and really hadn't been involved to this point, come out of the bar arm in arm with the 2 guys. Drunk girl 5 says, "Hi, Karen." Not her real name, of course. It was actually Chantel or something chavvy. "We've bumped into our fellas, so we are heading home. Have a good night. Oh, and by the way, here's the purse you asked me to hold." They hand over the purse, which she takes very sheepishly, and drunk girl 5 and drunk girl 6 leave with the guys. The remaining girls have all but disappeared now, and it appears the show is over. Bouncer releases drunk girl 1 and again asks them to leave. They seem a bit defeated and slink away apart from drunk girl 1, who is hanging back a bit. She turns to me and looks at me for a second. I was expecting an apology for the misunderstanding or a final freak you, but she actually says to me, "Will we get in next week?" "Sorry, what do you mean?" "We aren't barred, are we?" Bouncer and manager look at each other and shake their heads a little, not sure why she still thinks I work there. Me, seizing an opportunity, "You are, I'm afraid. Your friends can come back anytime though." Manager deciding it's easier to go with me on this one now. "Yes, that's right. I'm afraid we can't have people assaulting the staff. If you leave now, we won't call the police." She then joins the rest of her troop and they dejectedly walk away and leave the smoking area and the bar with a bit of muttering. Bouncer looking a bit confused. "So hang on, do you work here or not?" "No, sorry mate, just stood in the wrong place at the wrong time. I was just taking the out of her at the end." "Okay, so how come she's barred?" Manager says don't worry about it. Just get a picture of the video and put her on the wall of shame. Presume this is how they track the troublemakers. "Right, all sorted. Talking to me now. Can I get you a drink for all the trouble?" I say, "Better not, boss. Not while I'm working." Cue a wry smile forming from the manager and a little bit of laughter from the few people who had gathered around and had picked up on what was going on. Sadly, everyone didn't stop and clap, but it was enough for me. Phil and I got a free round of drinks out of it, and I still go to that bar every now and then to this day. Wow, that was really long in the end. I never could figure out why they wanted the friends' boyfriends to be kicked out. Presume it was just because a girls' night out is sacred and they didn't like the intrusion, but this seems extreme. Thanks for reading, and sorry it didn't end with the police called or a Karen and a group of Karens all getting carried off to the cells. Have a great day, everyone. So, if you were involved here and you were the fake bouncer in question, would you have wanted it to end like that? Or would you have wanted to press the issue and let them call the police and see what really comes out of it? Let me know your thoughts on the whole thing in the comments down below. No, I am not staff, and no, you can't crash my dad's wedding. About a year ago, my dad was getting married. As it was his second wedding, he did not want it to be a huge event, and neither did his fiancée. Thus, they decided to have their wedding with just 17 guests at the bookstore where they met. Aw, it was so cute I wanted to throw up. He asked me and my sisters to guide the other guests to the room where the ceremony would be held since we were there early to set up. The bookstore was something of a maze, as bookstores often are. My dad's wedding was held on the second floor, so my sisters and I were stationed at various places on the first floor leading to the stairs, which were hidden in a little corner in the back. My sisters and I, who were dressed up but not wearing name tags or aprons like the people who actually worked at the bookstore. That did not stop a parade of people stopping by and asking where to find certain books. I don't know what it was about my appearance in particular, but most customers came to me instead of my sisters. I get that I was standing in a particular spot and that I could have looked like I was there to answer questions, but the staff were busy shelving books, dusting, making coffee, and generally being busy, so I would have been a pretty lousy staff member just standing around like that. One customer in particular approached me and asked if I knew where the painting that used to hang in the store was now. I answered that I did not work here and was simply guiding guests to the room where my dad's wedding was to be held. The man looked incredulous and asked me several more questions about the painting, including who the artist was, what the medium was, the size of the painting, and what the subject was. After I answered that I did not know any of those things, he was satisfied that I did not in fact work at the bookstore. He then proceeded to say how much he loved weddings, no matter who was getting married. He asked where the wedding was being held and if he could go take a peek. I answered that that would be really weird, given that it's a private ceremony and my dad would probably appreciate it if he didn't. He laughed it off and said, "Oh, well, I'll come by and crash the wedding later. I just love weddings so much." I practically begged him not to crash my dad's wedding, even just to watch, because there were so few guests that it would be painfully awkward to have some random man smiling in the back. After a few moments of us going back and forth and him promising he'd be there whether we liked it or not, he finally agreed to leave the wedding alone. He stayed for a suspiciously long time in the bookstore, watching all the guests come in. He smiled ridiculously as my now stepmother walked in with her dress and headed upstairs, provoking her to ask me and my sisters, "Who was that creepy smiling guy standing around watching the entourage?" We responded, "He's just some guy who really likes weddings and asked if he could crash yours." To our great relief, he did not show up at the ceremony, but the whole time I was worried about it. Sorry for being distracted during your wedding, Dad. I'll come by and crash the wedding later. If I heard that, I would have been like, if you don't get the bleepin' bleep out of here, I would be so heated. Garden center, I do not. Had a landscaping morning Saturday and had to run out to the garden center for a few items before stopping for the afternoon. At the store, I must have looked the part, wearing cargo shorts, boonie hat, work boots, and a neck gaiter as a mouth covering. It's a "this guy landscapes" sort of ensemble. I'm walking with a purpose, and my items are at far ends of the store. A woman and teen son stand in the middle of the patio furniture, staring lasers into me as I hustled from weed killer to plant stakes. As I approached, she said, "Finally, we've been waiting forever." I didn't break stride as she said, "Are you going to help us? Don't you work here?" I gave them a succinct, "I do not," without stopping. 10 steps pass and I hear her say, "What does he mean, I do not?" to her son. Not much of an interaction, I know, but how can someone not understand "I do not"? It gets to the point. I feel bad for that kid. Usually kids are able to learn more than what their parents try to teach them, or learn from flaws that their parents may make, so I don't think the kid will be a carbon copy of this sharpness of the Karen. But with that being said, that's all the stories we have for today. So what I want to know is, which of these stories was your personal favorite and why? Let me know which story was your personal favorite in the comment section down below. And thank you all so very much for watching and listening to the Storytime channel. If you haven't yet, please consider subscribing and don't forget to turn notifications on so you'll never miss an upcoming video from the Storytime channel. Thank you all again for watching and listening to today's stories on the Storytime channel.